We've got a question from a chap called Neil Martin, and he's asking, how do you go about optimizing the sound system in a new venue you arrive? Are there any features in the iLive that help you achieve this?
Yeah, there are. I mean, basically, you do. You know, I'm from the old school. I don't use some of the new sort of sort of frequency sort of finding devices that you can for a building. I just put on a record that I know, or a record. See, I'm showing my age now. Yeah. I put on a CD and listen to how it responds in the room. And then with the GEQ, just tailor that CD to how I know it should sound. But what I also do use is the pink noise, and also is it the saw wave, square wave you have on there?
Well, there's different generators. There's the sine, there's the frequency bandpass, high pink noise, white noise, and it's oscillators.
It's the sine I use, and I just run that right through.
Looking for resonant frequencies in the gig.
I look for the resonant frequencies in the room, and then top it out from there.
Did you use the RT8? You know, when you have the graphic equalizer on the desk on the faders, you see the.
Yes, occasionally I use that, but it's not something I use all the time. I mean, it's just mainly listening to CD and using the sine, and that just gets you, and just having a little bit of confidence about leaving things just a little bit loose, not tightening up too much, so that when the people come in, if you over tighten it, then the room's completely dead.
So did you literally sort of go from the gig the night before, load in the show, and then just flatten off the graphic and just start that day with a bit of music and good old days?
Yeah.
Very good.
It worked back there, and then it still works my ears now.
Okay. A question here from Michael Palmer. Welcome, Michael, from America. What reverb presets are you using as far as reverbs? Can you remember any of those in the iLive you particularly like to use?
Oh, it's the EMT.
EMT, like the traditional plates.
I'm a man who likes a plate, and pre-delay is my friend.
Pre-delay. What sort of 100 milliseconds
around
there?
You just tailor it to the room. Find how it sits in the room and find how it sits with the vocal. There's nothing worse than someone sitting in their own reverb, which is like a baby sitting in his own nappy or diaper, Michael.
Yes.
So if you tailor the pre-delay well and find a nice reverb, you'll be fine.
Cool. And there's plenty of nice reverbs in the iLive. I think that's something people commented very early on, that the sound quality of the reverbs is fine.
Yeah, the modelling is excellent. Absolutely, top notch.
All done here at the Alan Heath factory in Cornwall. Okay. We've got someone asking now, would you use MADI or Dante or a digital thing to do a pre-show virtual sound check? Not so crucial outdoor, but indoor venues to dial in the PA. Would you ever be in that position where you'd like to play back a recording of the band?
It's quite an interesting question. I've spent the last year doing MADI recordings, and it was on my list of things to do the virtual sound check. And I still haven't got round to it. So I don't know what that's saying to me, that maybe I'm a bit stuck in my ways, and maybe I need to get round to it. But no, I haven't done it.
Right. I mean, I can see how it's a useful thing in terms of system pre-check, and with the road crew, stage crew, technicians, everyone can get things more in the ballpark before. And I know these days with production values being tight, there's less time available for production managers and bands to be around, so it could save time, and therefore they can be off doing some promo whilst the crew are getting the gig ready for them. So I suppose in that sense it might be worth it. But if they're going to be there anyway, wouldn't you rather just get on with it, use the instruments you've got?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I think it does depend on the act. If you're working with an artist who likes to sound check every day and run through everything to make sure everything is correct, and they're there, they're the captain of the ship. Or if you have an artist who is busy, who has to do press or promo, it's a great tool.
Okay, but you did manage to use the kind of MADI via some interface that just captures things.
Oh,
anyway. So
absolutely.
you know, handy to be able to record that way.
Yeah,
anyway.
every day.
So that's a given. It's these days. I think you think, well, I'll capture it anyway. Whether they use it for sound checks or something the band might use later on as a reference, there it is. It's easy to do these days, isn't it? Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay. Well, thank you for that question. That was from Clinton Muntean, and on virtual sound checking and recording. Okay. Well, we got here. Very competitive question. Where would you place Alan Heath desk in the hierarchy of DigiDesign, SC48, Yamaha, MC, and such? Equal, a little better? Well, personally, and I'll stay out of this one. I'm a manufacturer, but I don't know if it even comparing marks and different desks is a good idea. But I think you probably use all sorts of desks and.
Yes,
you know, whatever.
I think you just use your ears at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And for me, the Alan Heath suits me perfectly. You know,
I think that's a bit of golden knowledge there from David to our listeners to use your ears. Why not?
that's what they're there for.
Yeah. Don't just read the brochure. Use your ears. Okay, that's great. Okay, thank you for that question, Jeff. And we got here a question from Joachim Dietz, and it's, do you use scenes?
Do I use scenes?
Different songs, different shows? No.
No. I'm, you know, that's a personal preference.
Right.
For me, because you're in a different venue night after night, and you're dealing with human beings who are playing with instruments, and you don't know what kind of mood they're in, you don't know how hard they're hitting the instrument, you know, there's so many variables that I like to remember the scenes in my mind and in my fingers where I'm going to start that show with, but I've got my fingers ready on the faders for how that human being is going to respond in that song, if that makes sense to you. So no, I don't use scenes.
Right. So you still very much hands-on. You look forward to that.
I believe that's mixing. To me,
it change between numbers and don't swallow too much up in the machine.
No.
Be ready to hands-on.
Yeah, I like the human feel of bringing in something, and you know, and that's how you discover new ideas and new things. If you hit the scene and you have the same thing every day, you don't really discover as much, I don't think.
No, that's an interesting point. So yeah. Why not? It's a job, but you're never too told to discover and learn stuff. Well, so it's nice to be, you know, not just. I mean, I can imagine some very complicated theatre productions and things. People might want a lot of changes in various different places to happen simultaneously. The scene might be useful, but it's not an essential tool, is it? You're saying to mix, you know,
for the kind of music that I'm doing. No, I don't need it, and you know, like, I didn't explain it very well, but you know, you might accidentally raise a fader too high in sort of a preempting how this new song is going to start, and you discover an idea from that point.
Cool. And I should remind the listeners that I think after the Florence tour, where you first took out the iLive, I think the next opportunity we had to meet was on the Air tour. I think that's right. You went on to do the. So again, that was an iLive with the front of house and monitors split.
That's correct.
Yeah. New monitor person.
Yes.
And this is your second tour with iLive, and that went fairly well. Are you happy with?
Oh, completely.
Lots of keyboards in that one. A lot of low end.
Yeah.
A lot of nice.
But this one was much more effect orientated. We're using ADT, you know, automatic double tracking. Trying to recreate sort of Leslie effects, and it was brilliant, you know, brilliant for that kind of mix.
Right,
worked so well, and lots of huge delays, you know, running delays perfectly in time with a track, you know, continuously, and you know, and it worked.
So you're saying with that, you know, without sort of plugins or having to worry about production things coming in, you could just get your hands on the desk, mix the Air band, and use the effects and everything you had there, and make it you know, put a whole show together from those tools.
Yeah, it's much more of a effect orientated sort of show. You're using a lot more throwing things in and throwing things out, and you know, using colossal sub basses, and you know, then something as quiet as a sparrow singing in the background. You know, you never know what you're going to have. You know,
okay.
And the desk works perfectly in that sort of sense. It's a real throw it around sort of thing. You know.
Okay. Well, and you had all sorts thrown in front of you in the last couple of years, banjos, all sorts of people stamping on stage, all sorts of different kinds of instruments and dynamic, and no problems handling all those things.
Nothing at all. The headroom is fantastic.
And, you know, you've got enough EQ and things to deal with.
You know,
yeah.
Quite often plugging things in is just high pass it a little bit, and you don't even have to touch the channel strip quite often, which is always a good sign.